The latest prayer letter from our mission partners in Uganda, Linda and Tim Darby. They start with a verse from Colossians chapter 3, verse 15 and 16. And the peace that comes from Christ rule in your hearts, for as members of one body you are called to live in peace, and always be thankful. They write, Dear friends, many of us are living in unprecedented times with restrictions on movement, work and life. Most of us may be going to be okay, but this is not the case for the poorest and most marginalised in each society, and at this time we would like you to turn your thoughts to them. Like so many countries, Uganda is now on almost complete lockdown. The restrictions came thick and fast, starting with the closure of schools before a single case had been reported, and culminating recently with the end of non-essential work or trade and travel, both public and private. While the count is now 33 cases and no recorded deaths, the country's healthcare system would be quickly overwhelmed, and potentially more people could die from everyday ailments like malaria, because the capacity of the medical staff is busy with the coronavirus and not able to deal with the usual load of sicknesses. In addition, too many Ugandans live very much hand to mouth, with little capacity to buy more food than they need for a day or two. Of course, our normal work is on hold, and our attention has turned to how we can support resilience in our local community. This has taken two forms. First, direct support of those working with us in the form of advances to wages, loans, concessions and food support to any vulnerable people we know directly. Our small group of Christians locally and people from around the world have been working together to prepare for food shortages by trying to get hold of and then storing beans which can be made available to the most vulnerable people whenever they go short. We have joined much of the world in homeschooling our 3 children, and again we can see the privileges we have. If you're doing the same, you may not feel privileged, but we know we have access to a good curriculum as well as possessing enough education ourselves to be able to teach the children, although Year 3 maths is a bit challenging. We also have access to all the resources on the internet and printable worksheets, YouTube lessons and other things. For many people living in Uganda, these kinds of options are just not available, and so this is another area we are trying to support. Our colleagues and friends and a local organisation called Read for Life, together with so many of us, have negotiated with 2 radio stations to let us host an education hour, which will teach some maths, phonics, reading aloud, and do our best to help bridge the gap for a nation with 15 million school children who are all in lockdown. We've been so encouraged to see local communities supporting each other in practical and spiritual ways. Our church, the University Church, of course can't meet at the moment, but is supporting everybody through phone calls and using social media. Most of you perhaps have realised that we won't be able to come back to the UK in April as planned, and we're very sorry not to be able to see you. We pray that you are all keeping well. Please keep in touch and let us know how we can pray for you. We pray that through this time of uncertainty for so many, an inner calm will be apparent in all of us who walk with Christ, so that we can bring peace and love and joy to our communities. Please pray for our projects here and for our friends and family and colleagues. Thank you for your interest, thoughts and prayers. Every blessing. Tim, Linda, Joshua, Annabelle and Elsa.